some people were talking about this car wash spot in Shoreditch. They were saying, oh, this guy had the authorization to do it. And I was in the comments saying, I can't restrain myself. I have to say that, no, we didn't have any authorization. And I was like, no, we didn't. He said, yeah, but I read online that the owner was saying that they allowed it. I say, man, we were there, we opened the spot, we had no authorization, but
hello, you know what I mean?
That's rang a bell as well to me. I was like,
it wasn't
illegal. These people are saying and repeating stuff they see online. When
people chat shit, man.
Yeah,
it wasn't illegal action. It wasn't illegal action.
He meant harm, but it was like, why do you affirm some things that you have no clue about? And when the person has to be the one that was there to tell you, this is really annoying. I don't want to spend my life trying to say that.
Killa Kela podcast. KillaKelaOfficial.com.
Street Culture TV.
Instagram UK Frontline.
Beatbox created.
Killa Kela.
And we're here to talk about world music and street culture.
Killa Kela podcast.
Blessed. Like a Sunday morning. Killa Kela podcast live and direct, Central London, or Central as what? Central as you need to be, choose to be, want to be. God forbid you be anywhere else. Doesn't suit you. It's not worth your time. And you'll get removed pretty quickly. Okay, people, our sponsors, the mighty GK Nifty Heads have 10,000 play-to-earn GraffPunks NFTs to give away. Get ready as London's white trash goes blockchain digital with Bitcoin Cash tokens locked into them to claim. Get yourselves over to the website gkniftyheads.com and play to earn now. And of all these episodes that we've done, this is the first one for us. We're talking about mosh. We're talking about rolling. We're about rolling heavy. Around London and the majority of the world, there is a class of graffiti artists that most definitely do their thing on such a biblical grand scale. And the two gentlemen to the right of me, your left, is absolutely no different, paving the way for new styles, new looks, and bigger walls and bigger spaces with bigger letters. It's the Roller Brothers. Man, Artik in the building, how are we?
Safe, bro.
This is good. This is good. How are we?
Yeah, stoked, man. Happy to be on. Thank you for having us, bro.
Yeah. What's been going on? We were actually just getting into it before we even started, actually, about the number of graffiti artists that went on to do successful things, and nowadays you wouldn't even know that they were graffiti writers, wouldn't we?
Yeah. That's it, man, yeah. We were saying it's crazy, like, podcasting, the light it can shine on different things and all of the different things that writers do all over the world. Because writers, Graff is mad. Like, the people I know through Graff, there's no other way in my life I would know them, you know, real characters, real mad people. And there's so many interesting people, so many stories to tell. So, you know, I was asking you before we started about the podcast, and you're saying, you know, this is arguably, not even arguably, undisputably.
It's up there, the first one definitely that ever hit the social airwaves, for sure.
Which is wild.
It's wild, yeah, when you think about it. 2017 it was, so it was a long time ago.
9 years. You'll be hitting the 10-year mark, man, soon.
Soon enough. Yeah, absolutely.
8 years, then here we go, not far off. So yeah, we were saying, like, it's mad. Some of the people in other walks of life who you know through Graff and what they've taken from Graff into these other walks of life is mad. I was giving you the example of one of the dudes on No Jumper, the host himself, one of the guests who was a porn star, both ex-Graff writers.
Adam 22, that's it.
Actually, who's also like a porn star as well now, to be fair, I think, as well. Mad guy. But,
multifaceted.
He's BMXer, podcaster. I don't know if he ever beatboxed, but he does his thing, man. Yeah.
Sure, he does that in his extra time as being a porn star. Who'd have doubt that for a second? Trust me.
He's making some mad sound effects for sure, man.
Yeah. And you mentioned, there's also the opposites where people were, you know, graffiti artists and went full bore into podcasting or exhibitioning. You mentioned a couple yourself, didn't you, Artik?
Yeah, of course. Like, I think for me, the Graff has always been a core to meet people, to become friends, and discover that with time, when you're a teenager, it's all, you know, you're just chilling and painting together with no real ambition or nothing else, really. You don't really think of it. But then the more you get old, the more people start having jobs, families, and things like that. It's actually anchored in real life. And these people actually make real jobs, real impact in life. And I think it's really interesting to see that depending on maybe or not your school path, if you studied in art, you have more chance to becoming a sound engineer or a woodworker or things like this. It's interesting to see with time that the more we discover people in Graff, you see a big panel of completely different path of life.
Yeah,
And I
man.
think for me that's what makes it interesting in graph. And
Yeah.
even more now after almost 20 years of painting, like literally is accompanied me all of my life. With not expecting much, but now that I meet people, the core of graph is just like, oh, it's nice. You do graph as well. You can speak to someone traveling around, and you meet at the other side of the world. You meet someone doing graffiti as well.
You can connect
Oh, yeah,
differently.
nice.
Yeah.
I've been to Mexico recently. One of these guys contacted up from there, and he was like he owned a hostel. He was like, oh, if you guys pass around, you can come into my hostel. And this is when you have actually an impact in real life.
God, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking, to me,
dope.
it's like the big purpose now of these connections and the fact that we try to just be quite friendly and opening.
It's multi-generational as
It is
well,
also as well.
multicultural, isn't it?
Oh, totally, man. Yeah, totally. Like years ago, I was dating this chick, and I was. She was talking about like different professions to me, and she'd say this profession. I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I know someone that does that. I know someone that does that." And she's like, "I hadn't told her yet that I was a writer." And she's like, "What the fuck? How do you know all these people doing these different? You probably know a hitman." And I was like, "Maybe I do. I don't know. Like graphers do a lot of mad shit, you know. Like I know people in all these different walks of life, and it's like this. I guess it's probably the same with a lot of other subcultures, but because you got this thing in common, and you got this mania in your head that you do that's a big
And
part of
it's
your
not a
life.
job as well.
Yeah.
It's not a job. You're not a graffiti
Yeah.
writer as a full-time job. So of course people will do different things. So it'll be like accompanying you in your life as a side thing. Like if you make music, if you don't want to be professional, it's like a
Yeah.
passion. But then it's funny to see how you meet people like very young. You meet people they're 40, 50, whatever. You know, like you don't care about where they come from. The unique core is like we do graph. We meet through that.
Yeah,
now
man.
we can just be friends.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend is always as well amazed, like, oh, did you know this guy before? So no, I just started talking to him, he's a writer. Like, what?
Yeah.
He's 50 years old, he doesn't look like the type of people
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Just nice.
That is mad, isn't it? Yeah, because the people that you least likely expect to ever meet in any other environment, you're going to meet there. Maybe, yeah, for sure. Maybe you guys are the best people to ask about this, you know. How to have a regular job, have a private life, relationship, a Mrs. or other, that you have to be, you know, particularly, attentive to. And then you've got a graph career that yields so much of your time, especially if you want to get to the prolific status that you guys all crave. How do you even balance that?
As I say, for me, I started graph as like a weekend activity with my friends. Instead of painting in my house alone, there was other people like me just wanted to paint. So we would just meet in legal spots in Paris. So we started to start a crew like this, just meeting up every week together. Then it grows, people stop, people continue, you have new people coming up, you have people restarting again. And I think in the end it's just, I don't know, it's part of a life, and it's part of a sort of consistency of our diary, a schedule. We have like a normal day, and we know this night we're gonna go out. It's part of, you know, when you get used to this, you're just like, oh, this night I'm going out. Then I know the day after I'll be tired for work, but whatever. It's this moment to meet my friends, to paint with them.
Yeah.
But because I think man and me privilege this thing of friendships and people we respect and we like, instead of linking up for, I don't know, to have easy access to spots and to things like that. We prefer to do it on our own, to discover the things that has to be discovered. If we meet people along the way, they're nice, they're actually lovely, and we can continue having a relationship with them. It's like, yeah, come with us, join us in our journey. But I think it has never been for me, how do you say, like a problem, like in the schedule. How do you call it?
Yeah, it's a time planner.
Yeah, exactly. It's never been this because it's always been integrated in my everyday life. The same way you would be playing music and you come back from work and you just play a little bit of guitar, coming back home, it doesn't make you don't feel like you're wasting your time. You're actually doing something productive. And you feel like you're advancing in your skills.
Defo.
Same with painting. Completely for me.
The whole 360 from sketching to everything.
Exactly, everything.
Yeah,
Just even
man.
talking about it, just chatting, looking zines, books, stuff that I buy, and we just do things like that. And I think then when you can start to integrate knowledge that you have, people that you've met For the zine that I've just done last year, I integrated my friend that's done poetry, my other friend that makes is a sound engineer.
Wow.
Another friend is a screen printer. So I like to make it part collaborative. I like to have my friends involved.
And it's all natural.
It's all natural.
You know all of those
It's completely
people
natural.
organically.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
It's really not for a purpose that you hang out with people. You just get along with them, and if you see they do something, it'll actually change my trajectory. It'll make me, oh, I know this guy doing screen printing. Maybe I'll do some screen printing in my book, and integrate my friend. It's
Yeah, resourceful, you graffiti artists. And on that note, which is part of the reason why you guys are here, obviously the zine last year, but moreover, you've got a book coming up very shortly, as we do, man. You know, just another day, you know, another day, another book, another chapter, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I can tell you a little bit about the book for sure. So the book is going to be dropping very shortly. We're actually anticipating the pre-sale dropping this month, latest, early start next month. It's in the final editing stages.
Might be as soon as when we drop this
It might just, by a mad coincidence,
funny that, promotional.
be around the time of this podcast. But yeah, so the book is, me and Artik, we've done this thing for a while, and you know, I can kind of even link in the book a little bit to what you're saying about graph and how you fit it into your life, because different bits of graph can take up different bits of your time. And I know some graph writers that treat this shit like a full-time job, like that is what they do. And then I know people are like, very much like, I enjoy it, it's a hobby, it's low priority. I think for both of us, we've been pretty consistent and pretty hard working with it. Like, we do take it seriously. It doesn't feel like a chore to do, but we put in a lot of time.
Yeah. Limiting each other, I think we spend good time together. It's like, let's meet and have fun, instead of chilling and going to a pub or like what's Netflix. Why not just go painting and...
Yeah, and enjoy it, and the time flies by, to be honest, and it feels fucking, I still enjoy painting as much as when I started. So to link that back to the book is the culmination of years of painting. It's mostly around my travels and trains. So the book is from my travels throughout largely Europe and North Africa. And it's from me I was just traveling with various friends, Artik and other people, and everywhere I went, I wanted to paint a bit. I wanted to tag. And then I started getting quite into one of the avenues of graph, which is trains. And for some people, that like kind of takes over and becomes the only main thing they do. And we can talk about that a bit. But the book, long story short, is I was traveling mad places, doing mad trains. And then I set myself a target of trying to paint a panel in every country in Europe. And I was getting closer and closer. After COVID, I was like, I really need to smash this thing out of the park. So it was like years of effort to do this. It started just me going these places and happening to paint them. And then I was like, yo, I set myself this target and I want to finish it. And because of the war with Russia and Ukraine, I've not, to be fair, done panels in Belarus or Russia. I should call it out outright, because I don't want to fucking... Yeah, I might be in the gulag, you know? Like, there's a dude right now who's locked up in Azerbaijan for painting a panel, and he's been there for mad time. So, like, you got to take this stuff seriously. But the book is going to have panels from 44 different countries in it. All of Europe, with those two exceptions, and then Turkey, Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt. So pretty much all of North Africa, with the exception of Libya as well. It's about travel, it's about graph, it's about trains, all of it. There are rollers, there's tags, there's streets, there's everything in it. And it's going to be called Train Tales. And it's going to cover kind of the stories from all these weird, mad places I've ended up. And every country, there's something interesting to talk about. In every country, I've got photos, evidence from. I've got forward by a sick OG in the scene, Drax WD is doing the forward for the book.
Nice.
I've got illustrations from a legend, Heroic, has added cartoons for every single chapter. Heroic LTB IMG, Artik's crewmate, my good friend. I've got a legendary editor from Bolt Cutter Babes helping me with it. And on top of that, I'm working with a very good sound technician, and a guy who writes. I won't drop his name because I don't know if he's cool with me dropping it, but he's a sick dude, to make a short film as well.
Wow.
And an editor, Miller Makes Media, big up Miller, to make a film. And when you get the book, there's going to be a QR code within the book, and exclusively for those who bought the book, they can access the video, which is going to be called African Adventures, and it's all about painting in North Africa, places I'm very likely the first UK writer to ever paint trains in any of those countries.
Wow.
And yeah, it's going to be all about that. So yeah, man, that was quite a long answer, but that's like the idea behind the book and
You're like-
what's going to be in it.
You're like the Keith Floyd of Graff. The Michael Palin 80 days around the That's incredible.
Michael Palin's a funny geezer, man. I'll take that comparison.
Yeah, you graciously accepted. That's crazy. And the fact that the tenacity of building products to that extreme. Now, going back to the resourcefulness of the Graff community. But I also feel, and this goes to both of you, is there's a certain temperature in the personality of a person. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're all accustomed to the idea that not everyone in every scene is a happy camper. You know what I mean? But when you're a good person and you're just elevating, you're doing things for the right reasons, I think that goes a long way, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, man. Like, and Graff can take you places, and it can sometimes be a medicine or a poison, depending how you use it, right? And on the journey of me doing that project, I'm writing in general, there's been times it's been both. And the actual idea for the whole book, I never painted those countries or those trains with the intention I'm going to go and make a book out of it, but I was in a very low place at one point of time, and I have talked about this on one other podcast I recently did as well, which is going to be dropping after yours. So I'll briefly just say the story, but I was in a very low place, and one of the things I was thinking was, what if I was to die? You know, and I think that's very normal for a lot of people to think about, but what if I was to die? What if I was to be gone?
Yeah.
What would happen with all of this shit I've poured so much time and effort to? You know, we're never going to live forever. We're never going to last forever. Everyone's going to be forgotten. I think in Graff, you got to remember that. But
my whole work now for the thoughts beyond most of the work that I'm doing. That's what I'm trying to archive a lot, working with a lot of people.
yeah,
I'll use this example again because I heard it from, I don't know where, but it's Martha Cooper. When she decided to start taking photos in New York, she would decide the people she'd like, maybe the more photogenic ones, the one that had the best styles, stuff like that. But a lot of people were complaining that the most active of the scenes at the time, they were not really represented in her photos. The thing is now, people remember Dondi, scene, and guys like that because they're represented in the books. So in a way, you make your own story. If no one tells it, there's no one to...
exactly,
no one
man.
here to listen to it.
And it's funny you say that because there's a stark, wake-up call to that era and Dondi and, scene getting still, even to this day, getting the flowers they do. I got T-Kid in reasonably early.
Jeez.
And I was like, how come you came on? I actually asked him, how come you're on the podcast? Well, I'm on your podcast because of the things I didn't do. I chose not to do Style Wars because I thought I was real. This is real. I'm not about doing this.
Yeah, it's choice.
And now it's not so. I guess it's not so much he regrets it, but he's had to make up the difference where perhaps others had fast-tracked.
I think if you write with your head and the things you decide to do will go along your personality and you'll be more true to yourself. That's why he picks certain choices of things. He prefers to paint trains, to make a book about it. I prefer to work in more different creative things, coming from my artistic background maybe. But I don't think that there's any regret to have because the choices we make are very unique to each other. And the past we have is already unique to each other as well. Come from different ways, we meet at some point in life, we just cross, and maybe we can make something together at this point, and then move on. And I don't think you have to have any regrets. You have to be there when you have to be there.
I think you got to take chances as well and not miss them. Do you know what I mean? So with me, I was like, you know what? I want to turn this stuff into something and share that story with people I care about and people in my community and people in my culture. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what that's going to achieve. But kind of bringing that back to what you're saying, it can be a journey, right? And there's times that Graff is like really good for us and we're having a shit week and painting will improve it. And there's times where Graff can be a bit of an abyss you can fall into and it can consume too much of you. You know, it can be something that you pour a lot of yourself into and you don't get anything back out of. So
I think you find your own balance.
You got to balance that, man.
Yeah. I think it's good to find your inner peace and inner balance before you go extreme things. Like it could be for anything. Like a recent guy passed away in London, in Peckham. He fell through a roof. It was a French writer visiting for a week. He's 10 killed. And it's very sad to witness these things that have actual impacts in real life.
Didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, it's like he was painting with Piro. They came together. He's done some sailing, some rollers, and he fell out of the roof, and that was it. Yeah, it's a very sad thing.
Rest in peace. Wow.
Yeah, rest in peace to Tankill, man. Crazy rollers.
Yeah, no, it's
crazy rollers,
I guess
crazy style
that's
spots.
also, I mean, I'm not saying that they were, but in general, it's a good thing to take your time as well to do things. I think it shows more with perseverance, consistency, patience. I had no expectation in graffiti at all, like for the first maybe 12 years until I met Man. So I was just painting with my friends, just casually on the weekends, and then suddenly you meet another person that shows you a different side of it, and you're like, oh, why not? I'll go this way. And then you find a better way.
Yeah, man.
But all of this process needs you to be as well in peace with yourself. You have to be in a good state of mind to be sure what you're doing, the choice you're making. Have no regret about it. To be sure that you're not pissing off someone or annoying someone or being like a bum even for your friends or family or your work, you know?
Yeah, man.
Even being still painting and being a good employee. This is a fucking hard job.
Yeah, man.
How do you go back to work and after
Yeah.
sleeping 2 hours? And, but you think you
yeah.
have to prioritize like, real life things.
That's one of the hardest things, man. We're coming in on no sleep sometimes. I've got paint all under my nails and paint in my face.
Really?
Oh, fuck. Yeah, man, it's savage. But another thing Artik was saying earlier that made me think, and it kind of connects in the book and even with what you're doing, is that for me, for a long time, my whole thing was I'm going to paint and I'll maybe take photos. But I came up in like the 2009 onwards, where UK graph culture had a thing of you don't promote yourself and you don't promote yourself online and you keep a low profile. So for me, I was always taking photos and videos of my stuff. I wanted to document it, but I never did anything with it, and I certainly would never promote it. And
Then you met me.
then I met him and a lot of talented other
But your
people.
selfie games went up as well, right? It's just like, yo.
And I think there's a good spot. We can talk about that in a second, like a good spotter scene in the UK. There's a lot of different tangents to take here, but the thing I was going to say, one thing that he has taught me a lot about, and other people, and it happened when I worked in the zine, and I even think podcasting is an example of it, is documentation is an art form of its own right. Documentation is a skill set that
Telling your own
photography.
story. Telling your story yourself instead of having haters or anyone else telling the story for yourself.
And it was something I completely neglected. And now over the and I've got like loads of bad pictures now, loads of phone pictures and whack documentation and some good documentation because of the people around me that I need to craft into stories and stuff. And I never really realized or appreciated that as its own art form. For me, I was like, graph first, fuck everything else. And now I'm like, yo, graph is, to me, without a doubt, still the most important thing. I want my name to be up. I want to go out and do stuff. But actually, I fucking respect that photography a lot. I respect that storytelling a lot. I respect that podcasting a lot because all of those things are skills and art forms in their own right. And when someone's very good at those things, you can tell the difference. Do you know what I'm saying? When you see...
It's like a life strip. You're making a scrapbook of your life strip.
Yeah, man.
Punctuated all of your life.
In a real timeline, yeah.
Exactly. A podcast here, book there, an interview there. It's in the end you have like a full story, and nothing is better than telling it yourself.
Yeah, you hit a nerve in my thinking when you said, because obviously some people come on these platforms for the reasons you mentioned. You know, what could happen to us tomorrow? Who knows? The flip side, though, as well, is like if something does happen, well, for whatever reason, I mean, you know, people love to indulge in, you know, a warped version of a story or second-hand information.
Oh man, I've been recently on Fuzi VTPK that makes the podcast. I've been on the Discord. Some people were talking about this car wash spot in Shoreditch. They were saying, oh, this guy had the authorization to do it. And I was in the comments saying, I can't restrain myself. I have to say that, no, we didn't have any authorization. And I was like, no, we didn't. He said, yeah, but I read online that the owner was saying that they allowed it. I said, man, we were there, we opened the spot, we had no authorization. But
hello, you know what I mean?
That's rang the bell as well to me. I was like,
It wasn't
what these people are saying and repeating stuff they see online. When
people chat shit, man.
Yeah,
It wasn't a
for no
legal
reason.
action. It
I don't
wasn't a
think
legal action.
He meant arm, but it was like,
Yeah.
why do you affirm some things that you have no clue about? And when the person has to be the one that was there to tell you, it's a bit annoying. I don't want to spend my life trying to say that, but
It's true. So you know what makes this a shining example of that kind of hearsay or speculation is the fact of how well it was done.
yeah.
This shit looked like it was modern art in its purest, you know, junglist, you know, almost brutalized form, right? I was fucking mad, and I remember walking past it. I mean, I know everyone had a good old crack at the whip at it, but like just the colours alone and just the thought in space, and I think that's what I get a lot from the roller culture is this whole idea that it's so methodical, and everything has to be correct because of the length of rod that your work is starting to get a bit seductive. So the actress said to the bishop. But yeah, I mean, you guys really work in micro moments, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, what's your philosophy on that? How do you even get your head around, being, 3 foot plus up in the air and dealing with?
I think we have really different approaches.
You go first, man. You go first, then I'll come up with something.
The way I started in France, you really see a lot of pieces all over the motorways, the track sides and stuff. It's very common to have it. There's very few that was on rooftops, but it's still in the culture, very normal. So the main thing that you do in France as well is big crew pieces. So that what you go with 2 or 3 crewmates, you go one fill, one does the outline, one does the second outline, and tack, you finish and you go. In here, as there wasn't much material existing. There was few ones like type or people like that. Yeah. But because it was such an open canvas, I could say I started to experiment this the way I was doing on my graffitis with a lot of colors, a lot of effects, bleaches and stuff. And I started to do it on the wall with a sort of, for me, it's a sort of big brush. It's the same as you paint with acrylic, but just in a larger scale. You have a lot of artists painting in very huge scales, like Pierre Soulages and artists like that in France. They paint with rollers, they paint with big. I saw one like Gerard Richter, I think, with a sort of like 2 meters brush.
Crazy.
And like, why not changing the scales and using different tools?
Yeah, man.
And that's the way I've done it for me. As I brought my artistic sides from my spray can pieces, and I thought of like, why not putting it on the wall using different tools and learning how to use these tools, because it's the thing as well to know your tools. And when you know them, you can push it further. I started to have some brush you can put on top of the pole. You have different sizes, you have different textures, you have the sponge one. And the more you get to learn your tools, the more you can push it and go further in what you're doing. And I think it's all about the curiosity. It's your own curiosity in life. If you're interested in what you're doing, just make some research, try things on your own, and push it to something else. And maybe one day it'll be pleasing people. They'll be like, oh, this is cool, this is interesting. And what the best thing I can receive as a compliment is when someone sees that and seeing a piece of mine and tell me exactly what my intention was without explaining it. So for me, the best compliment is like, whoa, like, you got exactly what I wanted to do. Like, whoa, fuck, I didn't even know they could connect it like that easy. And whoa,
Art connecting with reality.
everything is connecting, exactly.
Mad. Yeah, I think for me, like, I could write fucking essays on the philosophy of roller graph and what it means to me, and I don't want to bore anyone. But so I'll try and keep it short and sweet. But the way it started for me, and I would love to know afterwards what you thought about roller graph when you first saw it. But for me, the way it started was I'm pretty traditional in graph, and I like to get up. I like to be up. I've had beef, I've had people covering me, and in London, the graph scene is rich, there's a big history, there's an OG scene here, and it's fucking saturated. The amount of writers in London is massive. The amount of graph in London is massive. I want my name up, there's most spots taken. What can I do to find a niche and take myself to the next level? So before I even moved down, I was already doing rollers in Scotland. But then when I came down, I was like, yo, there were other roller writers before us, don't get me twisted, but I was like, there is a big fucking niche here. There's a big space. This place is like a blank fucking canvas, and it can be our playground. So I started hitting roller spots, and then I met my man, and that changed things a lot as well, because for me, I was coming with a very traditional getting up approach. I was doing multicolored rollers, I was doing stuff, but big blockbusters. And it sort of came, he'd actually done rollers before I ever had. And he'd done like crew rollers and trackside spots and stuff, but was also just painting a lot of can things and a lot of very artistic creating walls. Whereas when he met me, I was doing a lot of rollers, but my strategy was getting up with them. So then we kind of had a meeting of minds in that I brought to him this kind of GPS mindset of this is the city, these are the spots, these are where people are going, we're going to target here, here, and here and get up. And he brought the kind of, yo, we can play around with the styles. We can, getting me to experiment with doing shit I never like, styles and flavors and things with it as a tool. Because before, let me give you an example, and then I'll wrap up this long spiel. Is that before, man, I would have tried to paint.
It's your podcast, bruv. You can do whatever you want.
Aye, that's the next 40 minutes gone. Before, I would have tried to paint a roller piece like it was something with cans. A lot of people ask me, do you use cans? Yeah, man, I fucking use cans for years. And when I first was doing rollers, I like to do blockbusters, but I also like to do rollers like they were dubs with cans. And then what he taught me was like, when you're using a tool, when you're using something, and I'll never forget this as long as I paint, that tool, use that tool the way it's meant to be used to do things you could only do with that. So rather than doing a roller like, this is a fucking spray can I'm using and I'm gonna do a second outline and a border and have it smooth, do some fucking square lines. Use the shape of it to do glitch effects. Use this and that. That changed the way I fucking painted, because now you're like, okay, I've got these tools, I've got these things. I can hit up, you're talking about the 3 meters, I can hit up high spots, I can take my time and do it differently. And I'm still doing graph, but I can make it look different to the way I ever would have done it before. And to be honest, I'm still early in my journey of even doing that. I still paint pretty simple, basic bitch rollers. It's all good though. It's a learning curve, and he's now already on the level. He's using brushes, he's using different sizes, the difference between the sponge and this one, do you know what I mean? There's levels to this shit, and
I think in general, it's more important to know what you don't want to do than what you want to do, because you never know what you really want. But you'll know what you don't want.
Yeah.
Same with jobs or life in general, or people you have around. You have to try. It's a trial and errors. You try them, you see if it works or not, and you're just like, oh, it doesn't work, I'll move on to something else. Then I think it's a never-ending story of...
Yeah, but with the rollers and, you know, basically, essentially like sponges and other sorts of mediums, not just the spray paint, but the different kinds of paint you can get for rolling. And man, now you've got me thinking about how versatile it actually is.
it's very different.
Even the type of paint. You have the vinyl, you have the bitumen, you have the acrylic, you have the primers,
Masonry, yeah.
everything. It's even
Gloss.
maybe sometimes more varied than spray can.
Yeah, for sure.
Spray can is just spray in a can. You have the water base, you have the solvent one. Except for the caps, there's nothing much you can really improve. You want it to stick on the wall. The rest of the paint we get is really, really diverse. It's like, we'll get whatever it is and we'll mix bitumen. That probably doesn't work good in the winter because it gets very like blocky. You
Yeah,
cannot really use it. It's the bitumen black is horrible.
It comes with different challenges as well,
exactly.
man.
We have to adapt to these things. And the bitumen black you cannot put on a colored one, acrylic paint, because it's still wet. It stays wet. Yeah. You use bitumen on it, it's just gonna slip and you're not gonna mark anything. Really? So you have to know, like in painting, like with brushes. You have painting like the wet on wet techniques. That's what we did the other night. Is you put some patches of colors with a lot of paint on it. You go with another color on top of it. You mix it and you kind of spread it. So you have a mix of the color. It starts to create a fade of 2 different colors.
No way.
And you extend it and you created the other 3, 4 colors with the same colors.
Because I think from an observer's point, from a pedestrian's point of view, I'll say that much because, you know, we've all got a lot of pedestrian friends that quite often are amazed by just the prestige, or rather the volume in which graffiti comes in at you. You know, whether it's flying in on a train, it's like whoa. But with the roller culture, it's how do you get it up on a roof or the side of a building and keep it so razor sharp like you guys do? That's hard.
For me, it's as well linked to the tools we're using. In the UK, you have this God bless bricks. you can count, you can measure, you can, there's ways to fit on that. It comes as well with a lot of flows, the moss, the horrible plants, the growing on it, so it makes it horrible.
Yeah, man.
But in general, it's also a tool that he was saying about. This is a square. That's it's a rectangle. The rectangle, you can shape it already. You can count 1, 2, 3, and you just follow this. It's like sketching, and you sketch on a wall, and you just have fun. I think it's like sketching with a spray can, the first lines you're making, and then you just have fun with the rest.
And do you have to look at that from a sketching point of view at home? Do you?
No.
You know, you just do it however you want to do it, and then work it out when you get to it.
I think it's very. I mean, for me, coming from art degrees or graphic design and where jobs like that, is the calligraphy and the fonts and the typography in general. It's very. You have the balance in letters. You know that, for example, the I in my name doesn't take as much space as the R or the T. And you know that coming from that, you have to leave less space it's a tiny letter, so you have to find a sort of general balance. So you see things in a bigger picture. It's all, it has to be a sort of all balanced stuff with whites that you leave around
Yeah.
to make it pop a bit more.
Yeah,
And this is
man.
all techniques from graphic design, for example.
Yeah, man.
Like typography in general. You have to know these sort of rules, but they're not really written. It's the same as in graffiti. That's why I brought this, for me, this sort of inspiration and this sort of a bit different, different techniques. Why not using it in a graffiti is exactly that, is letters, is typography. Why don't we use the other things we learned by computers to apply it to something on the wall? Like, why not?
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
Yeah, we typically have to spend a lot of time. The rollers do take a while to do, and bring a lot of materials with us. So it does take hard work and discipline, man. You got to show up with fucking buckets of paint. You know, you can try and be efficient as well, and there's trial and error. Like, man, every mistake you can make, I've made, and then I've tried to learn from, and I've probably repeated it a few times as well. Do you know what I'm saying?
When we met down Latimer, I happened to have like some mulch left over. And I was like, oh, dude, I don't suppose you want some mulch? There's someone like, yes, thank you.
Yeah, man. Pick up everyone giving us mulch over the years, man, and yourself included. Yeah, that's helped a lot. I'll tell you one other thing about rollers, and writers should love this, is if you do them right and if you source your materials the right way, they're cheap as well, man. The cost of a roller can be a lot less than the cost of a can thing, especially if you're getting free paint. I mean, man, in the UK, people leave paint out in the streets and that. I'm not going to give away all the ways we get paint, but I've not paid for a roller piece in this country for a long time, and I don't intend on it. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, most of my materials I get my hands on
And you
for
can
fucking
wash
free.
that. You can wash them through as well, right?
Yeah, exactly, man.
Depending, if it's acrylic, yes. If it's bitumen, you fucking...
Your homes must be just like rinsed with just different shades of yellows and blues and purples and greens and...
Yeah, look at the threads, man. This is custom made. This is Artik designed, man. This isn't Virgil Abloh.
20, 30 pieces on that.
That's incredible.
What did you think when you first, because you know UK Graph,
Yeah.
you've been someone immersed in this culture for a long time. You've even been doing the pod for like 9 years, man. What did you first think when you first started seeing rollers in London and other parts of the UK, and what do you think now, you know, as you've seen that? If you even noticed it, maybe.
No, from an aesthetics point of view, I think it's elevated, you know, and you got to big up like Type and Helch and all these different people that are kind of doing their thing. Do you know what I mean? And especially with you guys that are like moving in different directions. For me, it's its own kind of culture,
Okay,
with its own kind of code. Do you know what I mean? That's the important thing. My main question, which is more physical, is it has to fucking hurt.
Yeah, it can be tiring, man. It can be tiring, man. Yeah.
Just it feels like it's the same as going for some sports or some... I guess you just get used to the pace of it.
Yeah.
If you were used to do painting in 4 or 5 hours, it's like going to the gym, you know, after
Yeah,
work,
man.
you just do the same exercise, but we don't grow the efforts through the years. So you get used to a sort of standard of the efforts, and that's it. I guess you
So
just...
lower back, bad wrists.
I'm not falling to bits yet, man. But sometimes I'll get like a knackered back or neck.
Holding it up for ages like that.
The worst ones are like the ceilings or where it's steep, and it's not because of the physical action of rollering, it's because of the angle you're looking up at. Sometimes you've got bits of fucking the wall falling down on your head, you're getting paint in the eyes. That can fuck up your neck. But generally, man, I think we've become accustomed to, you know, when you've done a few hundred rollers, you're pretty used to going out and painting for...
Muscles in mad places.
I think it's the evolution as well in our work. You can see the earlier pieces, they were like 2 colors, 3 max. But the more you get accustomed to the efforts, the more time you'll take, and the more colors you'll add, and the more trippy the angles or the spots. I guess you get accustomed to stuff. And I really think it's the same as going to the gym or going to a climbing gym, and you start with the lower ones, then you go a little bit bigger and bigger, but you don't get very pumped up. You just get used to exactly the effort you're making, like a cyclist.
For sure, I get it. Just a different kind of exercise.
Careful, man. You got lug stuff about with paint. You got a rucksack. You got 8 cans in it, chilling. Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not bad.
Yeah, that's right. It's a bit like the DJs used to have these big vinyl boxes. Same shit. So they don't really consider it.
Just big wrists after.
Just big hench and shit. Craziest graph story. You know I'm going to ask that question. What's the craziest scenario that you both have been into at the same time?
All one together.
The roller jam?
Yeah. Do you want to tell that story? Do you want me to? Okay, shit.
jam.
Yeah, man. Okay, so a few years back, I started this this thing called Roller Jam, which was the idea. I want to say 2020, but my memory's fucked. Was it 21? Thank you, bro.
The name of the scene.
Yeah, my whole thing was like writers do jams all the time, and we've now got a kind of growing roller community in the UK. So let's do a roller jam where we get like 5+ of us together. We'll go to a wall, we'll do this spot, and we'll all do rollers and almost like a graph jam. And we've done it every year since then, and it's grown and it's become bigger. And I'll let him talk about the one we're going to do this year is going to be mad.
Nice.
Roller Jam 25, the level is up. 5th year, 5th birthday of it. It's going to be mad. But my whole thing was, I started it, I was like, I want to do roller jams. I want to bring in and collaborate with different people and spread this fucking sub-genre of graph. And
Codes.
the codes of it and get people doing them in different styles. You know, when you go to a graph jam and there's like 8 different styles, I wanted the same thing with rollers. So I started eyeing up spots we could go to, and we found this spot, me and him. I don't know if this is the maddest story, but it's a fucking, it's a good one anyway. It is a mad one. And we rocked up, we're doing this jam on somewhere north of London, and it was like a viaduct with these huge, beautiful arches. And we didn't know it at the time, but it's actually a listed structure. That bridge is, it's like an old Victorian bridge, ancient, beautiful brickwork. I like the architecture and shit. It's a listed structure. And we were painting it, and about halfway through, there's like 9, 10 of us or something. And about halfway through, we see, you know, we're checking, we're quite vigilant. We see fucking cops rolling up. So we're like, okay, let's bounce. So we go into the bushes and hide, and we see the cops coming around, having a look and that. And we've kind of concealed all our poles and our paint, and they fuck off. So we're like, okay, sweet. We're like, that's pretty mad that cops came, but let's just go back, finish our thing, and bounce. So we're all painting, and we're trying to, you know, outline, finish up our rollers, because this is not a legal spot we're doing, you know. And we're nearly done, and we're supposed to be taking turns. Someone was looking out all times. Whatever happened, no finger pointing. Someone wasn't looking out, and I'm painting one of the furthest of arches. Yeah, and you look round the corner, and I look round the corner, and we just see cops running down towards us, like BTP. Yeah, belting down towards us. So we fucking. We like before we saw them further and we had a head start. This time it's like he's like at the end of this fucking room. Do you know what I mean? They're close and they are running towards us. So we have to fucking drop our shit and run. Like most of us dropped our poles, paint. We didn't have time to fucking carry our stuff. So we're all running, and this place is got a river running nearby. So we fucking run away over a fence, like people falling over. He stopped to help someone up who fell over, and there's like 10 of us trying to get the fuck out there. And I kind of got to the front, sprinting away, and I'm like in front of the river, and I'm like, right, fuck this, I'm going through the river. I'm like, I'm gonna get away from these fuckers. Yeah, I'm like, the BTP won't follow me through a fucking river. So I kind of gazelle forward, leaping into it, and I'm like thinking, it doesn't look that deep.
Yeah, the first step was like, oh, it's fine, he just goes to the top of the foot, it's fine. Then you make the second foot on it, like...
Yeah. And these guys, bless them, they're behind me, behind this fucking idiot, and they just see me going, up to my tits in freezing water. I'm like, gotta keep going. So I'm keeping going, and 3 or 4 of the others, I want to say, did the same thing, and we got through that river and we got the fuck out there.
You lost a shoe in the river.
I lost a shoe. This is like winter
raining.
times. It was cold, bro.
We fucked our phones on the water.
And we all split up and scattered on the other side. And my side of the story is I went for some fucking long walk. My phone was miraculously still working. And I managed to go back to the spot later. We found out the cops had fucking smashed some of our poles and stuff. They hadn't taken it all. They'd been pointing tasers at some of the people involved. Everyone kind of, without going into detail, got away all good in the end, but some people did have a bad encounter. One dude, who was the dude, big him up, I did not think would get away. He didn't fuck around with the river at all. He just walked into a bush, sat there for like half an hour, watched the feds come, watched Network Rail come, didn't move, right next to them, watched people get in a mad situation, and then they left and he walked off, went to his car and put in the aircon and got out there calm. Meanwhile, us mugs are on the other side of the river playing the distraction, the diversion, walking around soaking in freezing water. Him and a mate at the time went and got new clothes. They went to Primark and got like some fucking, some second-hand shop, sorry. I did a long loop. walk back.
That's it, yeah. We went
Walk
just
back.
the other way. You went right, we were left, and
Sounds like absolute shambles.
It was chaos, bruv.
it was
chaos.
chaotic. Yeah, and we made the first scene like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
right?
telling the
a
story.
lot of the story.
Oh, and the song, yeah, as a musician, one of the participants, Chase, big up Chase, he was one of the people that went through the river. He got to the other side, him and 30-Bit, hid in a fucking bush, and his mate picked him up. He phoned his
Wow.
mate who was like local, and he was like, yo man, I'm hiding from the BTP in a bush, can you fetch me? And this guy showed up in his car, big up his mate as well, collected him, took him to his gaff, and this guy had a music studio, so he was like, all right, we'll warm up, and then Chase had the inspiration to make a song, so his mate made a reggae beat, and Chase did this reggae dub diss track to the BTP that night, then and there. It's legendary. So then in the jam, we like to always try and be a bit different with what we do. We did a QR code, and you could via that access this theme tune to the first roller jam.
That's
And
incredible.
he tells the story on the track.
I want to hear the tune. I want to hear the tune.
We'll hit you up with the tune.
Yeah.
So yeah. But then it's grown, and over the years we've done more of these jams, and I'll maybe pass to you to say about this year's one, but we've got a big thing coming up.
Wow.
Yeah, the one for this year is, I thought about the fact that we're doing it in the UK for a few years, and I was like, my friends' connection as well come from France. This guy, Killa Kela, passed away. I met some of his friends while they were coming here to visit him at the hospital before he passed away. And I had this sort of idea to make a sort of, I don't know, sort of tributes, but also a big gathering of everyone I knew or everyone that could be interested in the roller that are friends of these friends in France. So we started like to propose a city that I won't name and a time of the year that I won't name either. But,
Top secret.
yes, but we started to just chat all together and they start to invite other friends of theirs, and now you have people from, I don't know, Montpellier, Marseille, other cities in France. And I was like, actually, throughout the travels, we've met a lot of people as well from elsewhere. Suddenly, I invite this girl from Poland, this German guy that we Arise that we've met in Berlin, this his friend Ergo from Italy. I was like, why not make it a bit international?
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Yeah, now
Yeah.
there's gonna be like even a
Representation.
Brazilian guy that writes patels, a Canadian guy, Jared, is gonna be visiting at the same time, friend with these guys. So it's gonna be everything illegal.
Wow.
We're gonna be camping close to the spot. We're trying to find a sort of farm to ask for the place.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, we're gonna be just between us rollers. Not that we've been rejected in general, because we have a lot of friends doing more painting, but as you were saying, it was more a sort of initiative for this niche.
Yeah.
Like, why not just do something between us? We're not exclusive at all. It's like we're gonna have friends from my crew that don't do rollers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a good thing to, make it the main focus for once.
100%.
Yeah, man.
I absolutely love it. 25 and undisclosed for now, obviously.
Yeah, man.
Till we're there.
Yeah, man. But yeah, if you're a roller writer, keep your eyes peeled for future roller jams, because this thing, we're going to keep it going. This is the 5th year in a row, and this one's going to be big, but we're friendly, open people. We want to grow it, and we want to turn it into something bigger. You know what I'm saying?
It's
Level
a
up.
community, all about the community.
All about the
Brotherhood.
community. Exactly, bruv. Yeah, and it's going to be this is going to be the most international year yet and the biggest year yet. So it's thanks to him, thanks to all of the community and all the people we know, a very international crowd. This one's going to be fucking crazy, man. We're stoked. And bring your armbands, because there may be some swimming involved. Hopefully not. Hopefully no BTP with tasers, but yeah. Stay ready. If you got a canoe, you're well prepared. You know what I'm saying, man? Yeah. It's going to be dope.
I've been charmed by all of this. I absolutely love the fact that it's its own, scene, and it feels like it's still growing in octopus arms. And moreover, I think the testament to it all is that both of you, I mean, just in the banter, the back and forth and the love you have for each other, I just, creatively and over is just so nice, and not only enriching, but it's rewarding to the final result is that you guys are, solid as rock, man. And I love that. It's inspiring. It's fucking great, man. So big up yourselves. Artik and Man in the building. Roller Brothers. Come on, son. Come on. It's not our first roller disco. We're out like it was out of fashion, all right? Remember, crime don't pay, but neither do rollers. We're out like it was out of fashion, all right? Don't talk to anyone when you stay lucky, all right? Take care, people. Easy.